Hey YouTube! So recently, the other day, I was watching a video where a woman was explaining her experiences as a retail worker. So guess what I'm going to do? I'm going to tell you my experiences as a retail worker and as a food server. Because anybody who's worked in either industry has stories to tell. And there is something sick and twisted that we love about these things. The stories, though, that I'm going to focus on today in this video are of awkward, romantic advances. I have stories of a different nature that I would like to eventually talk about, but that's the kind that's going to be the focal point of this video. So let's get started. Okay. My first job was as a cashier at Shopko. And within a few months, I got promoted to customer service representative. But my schedule changed sometimes. Sometimes I was at the customer service desk. Sometimes I was just at the register as a cashier. On this particular day, I was just cashiering. And I had two people in line. And the gentleman that was second in line was really bouncing around and very energetic. And so I started thinking, well, is he just really impatient because I don't have enough people to call for Star Service at my line? Star Service being at Shopko, you get on the phone, you get over the intercom, and you say, Star Service to the registers, please. Star Service to the registers. Thank you. And that just means that anybody from different departments can come to the registers because we need someone there right now. They hop on a computer and they start taking customers who are ready to check out, just so that we can get all of the customers taken care of and they don't have to wait long, lengths of time in line. And then once the people from the other departments are done, they just hop off the computers and go back, because anybody in a Shopko store knows how to operate a register. And at least at our store, we were very short-staffed all the time because there was a constant turnover rates. Especially at night, we were short-staffed. That's going to be a fun story to talk about next time. Oh my god, I still want to cry. But anyway, I had two people in line. That was not enough to call somebody else up to the registers. So he was just going to have to wait his turn. But little did I know that he was impatient to see me. Me. Oh. See, I finished the transaction ahead of him, and then he was next. And I pulled out my awesome customer service skills and, was asking him, did you find everything all right? But from the minute he got up to the registers, his eyes were just, so wide. And at one point, he looked at me, and he said, I'm sorry. I just really love women with blue hair. No, red hair. Red hair and blue eyes. And the way he talked was so breathy. And at that time, I had just freshly dyed my hair red. And I had straightened it, and I didn't have my glasses on. I had contacts in instead, and I did some basic makeup. I felt really fucking cute, but I didn't feel that cute. Okay? It's nice to be complimented. It's definitely nice to be complimented. It is not nice for me to have, that kind of attention. That kind of attention makes me nervous. Probably because I've watched, too many TV crime dramas. And at the end of the day, this guy probably was really, really harmless. But I realized from that point on that it was going to be, really, really awkward interaction. So I was thinking, okay, it's my job to serve this customer. I have to check him out. So how can I do that but make this situation more comfortable for me? Because I feel fucking trapped. So I tried to deflect his attention. And so I was like, oh, well, my hair isn't naturally red. But yeah, I love redheads too. And Felicia Day, oh my god, you know who she is? She's a redhead, and she has blue eyes, and she is so funny, and she is so beautiful. Didn't work. He was like, I bet she's not nearly as beautiful as you are. And I was like, oh, I don't know about that, sir, but thank you. So then at another point, he asks me if I have a boyfriend. And I tell him honestly, no, I don't. But I have really strong feelings for someone right now. And he's like, oh, I would worship the ground that you walked on. My brain is screaming at me. Like, I get being totally taken by somebody, you know, being like struck. Okay, like you look at someone and you're like, oh my god, that person is fucking hot. I don't get acting like that, making them feel really uncomfortable when they're in a situation that they can't necessarily get out of. Like, it's one thing to be like, oh, you look really pretty today. Or, like, you look beautiful. Or, I like your hair. It's another thing to, like, lean in with wide eyes. I would worship the ground you walked on. That's not okay. That's not okay. So, I get his transaction finished, because by that time I'm like, boop, 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 boop. He goes to leave. I'm still trying to be really fucking nice. And I'm like, have a great day, sir. And he's like, I think I already have. I about lost my shit. I'd had a situation just a couple of days prior, not nearly to that extent, but it was still a situation that had made me feel uncomfortable, so I talked to my CSS about it. So she brought that conversation back with her comment, and she said to me after he left, remember, Amber, all you gotta do is say the word, and I'll be like, oh my gosh, I'm so glad that you're turning 16 soon so that you can start closing with us. And all I could think of is, Terry, that might not stop some people. People already think that I'm really young. Like, at that point, I was 23. And I still have people who thought that I was, like, in high school. I even had one lady ask me if I was in high school yet. So people already thought that I was fucking young. Like, you don't know. I only stayed there for 7 months, though. I tried to transfer to a different store because I ended up moving. But they didn't have an opening available, so I got my job back at a cafe. Okay, let me say this. Shopko I consider like my first real job. But I had a summer job before that because I was trying to get a more steady job. Nobody wanted to hire me, so I had to go volunteer at the Humane Society. And then I went out of town for a summer and got a summer job at a small town cafe. And those two items were what I used to get my job at Shopko. When I moved back, like actually moved there, I got my job back at the cafe. We had, a pretty consistent clientele, and most of them were older. And so you get to know them. A lot of them were great. There were a couple of especially men who were kind of problems, like old enough to be my grandfather, and they were making dick jokes at me. There was one guy who was like close to my age, but asked me like if I masturbated and shit like that. Like it was pretty raunchy. Like I got really fucking tired of some of the people there. Not most of them though. Not most of them. And it wasn't always the regulars who were doing naughty things. Sometimes it was those out-of-towners. Okay? This gentleman, he didn't really do anything wrong. Like, I kind of feel bad for him. But it's an interesting story. Like, sometimes when I was waitressing, I would flirt. Like, because even the older guys would flirt with me. And I don't think, like, if it's harmless, like, if it's just lighthearted, and both of you guys know that it's, like, not serious, then it's fine. I do have boundaries. I am loyal to my boyfriends, and I am not interested in screwing around. So if I felt like boundaries were crossed, I would stop. There was a gentleman from out of town who was from the South, though, and so we were talking about differences between, like, the South and the North, especially, like, with food. For instance, like, grits and stuff. And I had made the comment to him that the only place I'd ever really been to in the South was Kansas. And so he made this comment that, oh, maybe someday he'd have to take me on a road trip through the South. And, flirting with him a little bit, I was like, oh, yeah, you totally will. Like, that'd be fun. So I don't remember what I was doing, if I was, like, cleaning off a table or if I was taking food to someone or whatever. But he, like, told me to come here. So I went over to him. And he was like, well, like, I'm going to be coming back through here in about 2 weeks. So if you want, I can pick you up and we can go to the South. That broke my heart. I thought, like, I didn't mean for him to take it seriously. And so I looked at him and I was like, oh, honey, I'm sorry. I'm so sorry, but I have a boyfriend. And you know what? Props to this guy. Because, like, he was obviously very embarrassed. He was like, oh. And he's like, but what he said next was so funny. He was like, well, he can come too. I was like, you seem really nice. I am so sorry, but I don't think he's going to go for that. So, like, he didn't do anything wrong. He wasn't a creep. He wasn't inappropriate. It was just kind of an unfortunate situation. I learned a little bit to kind of watch myself more. But, oh God, there was an out-of-towner. My worst story yet. We had 2 hunters that I met. Where I live is very popular for pheasant hunting. And we get turkey hunters and deer hunters too. So, business around town booms when hunting season comes up. And I met these 2 particular hunters on Halloween. I was dressed up as like a secret agent. Typically, I had to wear a t-shirt with the company logo on it and then just like decent pair of jeans and stuff like that. But they allowed us to wear Halloween costumes. And these gentlemen, one was a videographer and one is the assistant editor to a popular hunting magazine. And the assistant editor wanted to take a picture of me with this stuffed animal because he was making a scrapbook for his son for Christmas. So I was like, yeah, sure, totally. And so at that point, like, we started talking. And they ended up being customers of mine for like 2 years. Because they would come back like twice a year. Who were like my customers. Like in the waitressing business, sometimes you get customers that get really attached to you. And they want you to serve them. And I had noticed that with my coworkers. And so now I had my very own customers who wanted me. And it made me feel so special. And they were so nice, And I did end up having dinner with them one time. It was my day off, so we just showed up at the cafe where I worked, and we chat. And they were older guys, like late 30s, mid 40s. But it seemed innocent enough. And then one day, it all changed. It was like my 3rd year into knowing them, and the assistant editor had added me on Facebook. I think I still have those messages, but I haven't looked at them for a long time. And I added him too, and he messaged me to let me know that he and videographer boy were going to be in town. And I was like, oh, cool, yeah, well, it'll be great to see you when I'm working. And he just, red flags started to go up because he kept telling me, like, thank you so much for adding me. Thank you so much for adding me. And I'm like, that's fucking weird. Like, I guess that's not bad, but it's not something that someone normally does on Facebook. Like, you just add people you know. And then if they accept you, then you're like, oh, cool. Now we're friends. But I didn't think much of it. He wanted to call me because he wanted to tell me some story. Like, I guess there was some kid who won this essay contest for the magazine, but his parents were throwing a fit because they were, like, really strict Christians and something about not working on Sundays or so they wouldn't be able to meet on Sundays. I don't know. And so he called me and he was telling me this, and that seemed normal enough. But then he started telling me, like, how beautiful I was, and, like, asking me how my boyfriend was doing, because he and videographer were just really concerned about me and didn't want me to be taken advantage of. And I'd tell him, like, no, everything's fine. Like, we're cool. I got this. You know, whatever. Assistant editor's wife, I think, like, the year before had, like, left him. So I knew he was going through some shit. Okay? But I still didn't expect this. So I get off of the phone with him, which was really uncomfortable, and, like, he starts messaging me again about how, like, he wasn't hitting on me or anything like that. And I was like, oh, I know, you're just kind of joking around. He's like, no, I wasn't. Like, you are really attractive. And I'm like, okay, thanks. Yeah, so people watching this right now are like, bitch, you're a fucking liar. And I'm like, no, believe it, sometimes I'm cuter than this. But then he started asking me if I'd heard of the movie, what was it? The Grand Budapest Hotel. I think that's what it's called, by Wes Anderson. And I was like, yeah, I own it, because I had just recently taken, well, a couple years back, I had taken a Wes Anderson film course. And so I'd really gotten into his movies, and he was like, that's my girl. So then he was insisting that I go bowling or go out to lunch with he and videographer, and to me it was just like, I didn't mind going out to lunch with him at the restaurant where I worked, but I didn't feel comfortable going with two men who I didn't know anywhere else. Like, bowling, drinking, and then he was saying how I'd have to come over and watch movies with them, and I could choose whatever I wanted to. And I thought, no. So I at some point told him, like, I appreciate the offer, but I just don't think that's really professional. Like, this is why I went out to eat with you guys, but I don't think it's professional for me to go anywhere else with you guys. And so he pretended to acknowledge that. And, but it was, there were recurring themes throughout this conversation. I was constantly called my girl by him. I was constantly told that he was not hitting on me, which, if you have to reiterate something that fucking much, then you obviously know that's what you're doing. Or that that's how it will be perceived. So if you're not really trying to do that, change the fucking way that you're acting about it. And he also kept insisting, well, whenever you hang out with us, whenever you decide you want to hang out with us, or, you can pick this movie. I told you I'm not going to hang out with you. At one point, I told him that I was thinking about, oh, no. I had posted on Facebook, I think it was, that I wanted to cut my hair. He threw a fit about it. No, you can't cut your hair, not until we're gone. Not until we're gone. It's so beautiful. Bitch, you're not my fucking maker. Like, I will cut my hair if I want to. The creepiest part was that he told me that he was bringing down a sports jersey for me to wear while I was waiting on him and videographer, and that he would pay me and a large tip for it. Like, that seemed really fetishy. And I was like, well, that can't happen. Like, I have a uniform that I have to wear. Well, no, your bosses they love us. They love me. They'll let you do it for 5 minutes. Didn't have the heart to tell him, no, my bosses didn't like him, because previously he'd thrown a fucking fit in the cafe that just turned them off. But I said the only reason that I was allowed on Halloween to wear that was because it was Halloween. Like, it's not Halloween, so I have to wear my fucking uniform. Well, don't you think I could talk to him? No. Sorry. It's not going to happen. I eventually had to block him because he would not leave me the fuck alone. And he was not respecting any of my boundaries. And this is like a 35, 40-year-old man who I know recently lost his wife, was really upset, and seemingly, like, focused on me. Shortly after that, like, when I went to work, I was almost in tears. I told my bosses what happened, and they told me that if he came in, they would kick him out. because, like, his $20 didn't mean shit if it was against my safety. Well, thankfully, when there were other waitresses there, I just asked them to take him. But there were a couple of times when I had to take him myself. And he had grown a beard, so I just pretended that I didn't know who the fuck he was, that I didn't recognize him. That's what I did for a while, and then he started coming in with a woman. So then I felt a little bit more comfortable, like maybe he's not going to be as focused on me because he's got some other chick. Most recent interaction I had with them, I had to kind of acknowledge who he was because the videographer was there with him. But, like, these guys would not come to eat unless I was working there. And once that shit happened with assistant editor, like, videographer would just pop in by himself sometimes. So I no longer work at the cafe, which is great because I don't really have to worry about seeing them unless I go to the laundromat. Which maybe for hunting season, I'll just go to my boyfriend's mom's house and, yeah, use her washing machine and dryer because I still feel really uncomfortable about that whole situation. And while I was working there, there was for a season a time where I was working at a, shit, what was it? Hunting lodge. And basically what I did was I just helped wash dishes and I served food. You know, and I'd give them their salads, give them their main course, get them their desserts, make sure their wine bottles were always full, make sure their water was always full, take their plates away from them, ask if they wanted coffee. It was really simple, and they were all pretty nice. There was one, I think his name was Tyler. Oh my god, he was obnoxious. Most of them were older. There weren't many who were like my age, and a lot of them had been coming for like at least 20 years, and they'd been going to like that specific hunting lodge. Because first, like a town of like 1,300 people, we have a fucking million hunting lodges. But I was kind of cleaning up one night, and Tyler comes over to me and asks me what my name is and tells me his name. And then, like, I don't even know if he bothered to ask how old I was or if he just assumed that I was, like, really young. Because I was probably, like, 24, 25 at that time. And he's like, oh, yeah, I'm 40. You must just be thinking, like, ew, why is this old guy talking to me? And the entire time he's doing, like, that really awkward, obvious flirting where he thinks, like, he's being funny, but he's just being gross. And I'm like, okay. So I go into the kitchen at some point, and I help him clean up in there, and he pops his head in. And he tries to invite some of us down to the bar. Because, like, there's this bar in the town that's, like, 4 miles away. It's really popular with the hunters because it has strippers. Like, and the strippers are only down here during certain seasons of the year. And, like, there are some who live around here, but then there are some who come from, like, different places. And they bring in a lot of money. And it's just weird. Like, you'd think with a town with so many churches being next to a town with, like, they wouldn't want the strippers there. But, I don't know. Most of the strippers were really nice. Like, there were a couple who were my favorites. I didn't see Venezuela lady last year, and I'm so sad. She was my favorite, even though she was really obnoxious with her orders. But, gotta keep that figure, I guess. But anyway, the older ladies declined, and then he started trying to get me to go. And I'm like, dude, I'm not fucking going to you when you've already been drinking, and you're older, and I have a boyfriend. And by the way, fucking see the ring on your finger. Like, do you have no integrity? Like, maybe they're in an open relationship. I don't fucking know. Like, how that just disgusted me. That he was openly flirting with a younger woman while he had a fucking ring on his finger. I hope that bastard's wife caught him doing something and left his bitch ass. Like, that's what I hope. But I've already made this long enough. So, yeah. See you later.